We're going to go 1, 2. There we go. All right. Well, welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight with Stephanie Scheller. I'm your host. My job here is to find amazing business owners who have a powerful story to tell. I can't talk. I've already been talking for like 6 hours today, but I have a powerful story to tell and bring them to you guys and put it in a short, sweet format so you can learn from these incredible business owners you may have never had the chance to get to chat with. And you know how they say, the harder it is to get something, the more rewarding it is? Well, if that is the case, then we have an amazingly rewarding interview here today because Anna and I have just like been ships in the night passing each other. But we're finally here. Anna, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So we've never actually met. What is your business story? What do you do first and foremost, and how did you end up doing that?
Absolutely. All right. So I'm actually a clinical nutritionist, a little bit beyond the spectrum of an RD. I like to get to the underlying causes of disease and target the imbalance, because that's all disease is a fancy word for, is an imbalance in the body. And I just like to go in and figure out what that imbalance is and treat it naturally at the source. So I'm more functional medicine. But my gosh, I would say it's been 7 years that I've been at this now.
Wow.
And I started out right out of college at St. Mary's University here in San Antonio, Texas. And right out of the gate, I was working for a wonderful physician here in town, Dr. Bernice Gonzalez, as a nutritionist in her office. And I just kind of learned a lot about the clinical, arena and everything that's involved in growing a business, because she has one heck of an office that she does great at. And then Kay Spears was actually a nutritionist here in town. She's probably my mentor, one of my best friends. She really showed me the ropes about nutrition. And at first, I just went to her just to kind of see if it's something I was interested in, the whole nutrition field. And I fell in love with it, actually. And so after that, I was her assistant for quite a good time. And then I started learning how to network, market, get out there and make a name for myself. So I started eventually getting to where I'm at now.
And where are you at now? Because something exciting is going on, right?
Yes. I just opened up my own storefront as far as my own office. So yeah, very exciting time. For the past, I would say 2 years, consistent. Probably for the past 4 years, let's say, I was in and out of the corporate world, and I didn't really care for it as much as I cared about. Of course, everyone wants to be their own boss and set their own hours and do their own thing. But I didn't really know how stable my empire was going to be unless I put in a little bit more effort. So I learned a lot in the corporate setting, how I can help people in the corporate setting, maybe get some contracts with corporate companies and help them out. And their employees to bring medical costs down for the corporate world and the business world. So I really wanted to tap into that. And I learned a lot by being a part of the corporate world. And then after a while, I said, no, this really just isn't for me, the whole corporate thing. I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own
You
thing.
need those.
So I eventually went ahead and said bye to the corporate world. I stumbled a little bit in the beginning. The first 6 months was really rough. I probably should have stayed in the corporate world for a little bit longer to build some more, a better money foundation, I should say, more funding for what I wanted. But God knows best, and I just kept plowing away at it. And right now I broke away from working with Kay Spears. She was my mentor, right? I was a nutritionist in her office, and she would, of course, take a percentage of anything I brought in, rightly so. I was working out of her facility free of charge. So she really supported me through it. I got my master's under my belt, in the process of finishing my board exam for my certification. And I opened up my own place just last week. Actually, I moved in, and I'm off of Stone Oak and Hardy Oak in the Stone Oak area. So I was very lucky to be able to get that location, and I'm loving it. It's awesome. And, I'm still working for, there's a company in town called Capture RX. And I, aside from being at my office, I'm also downtown helping out that company, making their employees as healthy as they can.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's the whole being smart, like getting the contracts, the corporate world, like setting yourself up. Because, that always, I just interviewed someone, one of my first ones, I think, one of my first few was of these spotlights was a lady who runs a personal trainer, but she does personal training for mostly for rehabilitation as well as for like moms and stuff. And so she was basically saying the same thing. She was like, the thing is, you can build a business just by doing your one-offs, or you can like go the smart route and get the contracts and get connected, and that's going to actually build a sustainable business instead of sitting here going, oh my gosh, is money coming in tomorrow?
Right. No, and I really couldn't agree more. I mean, the other fortunate thing I have on the side too, to kind of like make sure that door is really opening and closing without being slowed down. One is those corporate contracts. If you can partner up and build a solid bridge between you and a company, absolutely. And then furthermore, if you can, in the arena that I'm in, if you can get a few great doctors who really have that mindset of wanting to treat their patients more naturally first rather than going straight to prescription drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's such a blessing, because then you get to team up with a renowned, really, really well-known physician, and who you're on the same page with as far as, hey, let's try to do this naturally. Let's try to do this by
Yeah.
just cleaning up the diet, cleaning up the system, and see if we can keep this patient from being on prescription drugs. And that's probably the most rewarding feeling, is when I've had multiple patients from the Alamo Heights Medical Group, for example, Dr. Shesha. I'm really, really excited that Dr. Fesha sends me his patients now. So I'll get, faxes coming in from him, and I'm like, oh man, this is such a treat, because I'm so
Yeah.
busy seeing clients and working with those contracts that sometimes you don't have time to go out and network and market. And you feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't really connected with many people. Am I going to be okay? And then sure enough, you get 5 faxes from one doctor's office in a week, and it's like, oh, all right, I got 5 clients this week. I'll be okay.
Right.
So that's a wonderful thing to kind of set up too, is, if you can get a referral process going, and, give back to them too, of course. But yeah, if you can get a referral process going that's continuing to keep that door revolving, it's really good. Especially the challenge with what I do is that I literally put myself out of business almost with every person I ever see, because I educate you and teach you, yeah. And so they
Yeah.
know exactly the quirks and the how-tos about their body by the time we're done, and where they kind of don't need me anymore. So it's a pleasure, but then it's also like, oh man, all right, I got to find somebody new to fill that spot. So referrals are great to set up a good referral process between you and somebody else. Those are always great.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've recently finally gotten some really, really strong referral partners to where I'm getting those, like those 3 and 4 referrals a week that it's just like, oh my gosh. And I only need, for my coaching practice, right? So I only work with 12 clients at a time. I only need like 2 referrals a month there. So I'm actually like getting more referrals than I know what to do with now, which is phenomenal. And it's such an awesome place to be. It really is. So I can totally understand. Um, I'm curious. So I wouldn't say you're new at this, but you just got your new practice open. What has been the hardest part? What has been the biggest challenge, I guess? And what lesson did you learn? How did you deal with that?
I would say one of the big challenges I'm facing right now, actually, but it's in the process to be fixed. Always making sure that you're compliant with regulations. That's something
Oh,
that some people are like, okay, well, let's make sure that everything's, squared away. Because I don't have any employees right now, eventually, but because I don't have any employees right now, I don't really need so much of that. But it was good to be educated on it, to learn and research about it, so that in the event that it does grow to the point where, oh, I need to hire some employees here, or, oh, I think I'm going to bring on an intern to go out and do that networking and marketing for me when I don't have time. In the event that I do that, even if she's voluntarily, or he is voluntarily helping me, I will still need to have certain things posted around my office and regulations and things that I need to adhere to. So it was really good to learn that and be kind of ahead of the curve on that, Right
Yeah.
now, I'm actually getting all my stuff. I hired on a firewall team. I hired on some guys to take care of all that stuff behind the scenes for me, so I don't even really have to think about it, because I'm not the best at technology. But, having someone to be able to make sure that your stuff is safe, files are safe, people's information is secure, and there's not going to be any breaching going on, so it's really important. And even some of the best companies out there, they get breached. Their information get breached. I mean, we just heard about one with, I think it was a credit score company. Yeah, there you go. So I mean, it happens to everyone, but especially in this medical arena, you got to really make sure that people's information is safe. So I've been working alongside that fire team, and that's probably the biggest advice I can have aside from an accountant. Get yourself a really, really good accountant. You might think that you're good about keeping track of your pennies and your nickels and your dimes, but it's really great to have someone to kind of take that load off your shoulders and do it for you. That's probably been the best relief I've gained, and one of the harder lessons I had to learn, because I did lose out on a lot of money when I could have actually had that benefit of having a good amount of money had I had a good accountant.
Yeah, no, I will second both of those, because I think you touched on one that it just kills me from the get-go to see these business owners who struggle to run their business like a business, right? They kind of run it like I don't know, a band of thieves, almost, like no real regulations, no real, like,
right.
there's nothing really making their business quote unquote legit. And so then they all of a sudden, when they have to make it legit, it's this really painful process because they built up a habit of not following regulations, not doing what you're supposed to do. So I can totally believe it. And the accountant thing, man, and find a good one. Like, that's one area where I'm like, don't go Google it. Like,
oh yeah,
go find a referral.
Find someone ask someone, if you don't know of someone, or find someone, and not on Google, that you can trust. I mean, this is someone playing with your money, you know what I mean? It's like, it's something that's pretty important. You got to build a very trusting relationship. And a funny thing is, my mom is actually a very well-known accountant here. She actually works for the accounting department at Tesoro. And
Oh, wow.
I just know she's very busy. I don't want to go there. I want to make sure it's someone that has the time to really dedicate to staying on top of it, me as their client. So although I have some really good advice, I got to admit, my mom has really helped me in a lot of this. And in fact, she was pushing me to take that leap of faith. And I didn't quite know. I wasn't quite sure if I should do it or not, but I really do owe a lot to her as well. I mentioned Dr. Bernice Gonzalez and Kay Spears, but my mom, very much so. And I have a lot of friends and family who really supported me through all this and telling me, Anna, you really need to do this. You really need to go for it. And from my office furniture to my first month's rent in the new place to the support and, the knowledge of the know-how of running your own business, like everything, it really took a village to bring me up to really being educated and understanding how to run this thing of your own business, being your own boss. And it's great to think about, like, I could do that. I could sell this product, or I could sell this service to someone, or I could be great at this. But it's a different thing to actually put the pen to paper and then actually do it. So research, and if you're ever unsure about starting a partnership or contract someone, really, really evaluate it, because when it comes to being your baby, you got to really nurture it and take care of it and make sure it's well protected. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love what you just taught, like how you just talked about, basically, it's the people you hung out with that really made this possible, that made this work. And I think that's so cool. It's just, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that might or might not be a hobby horse of mine to talk about a lot. It might be my first book that I published. But like, that's so huge, and people so overlook that. You also, I really want to point this out to our listeners. She made an amazing point, right? She didn't go to her mom, and this is something I seriously encourage people to shy away from, because you go to that person you can do a trade with, or that friend who will take care of you, and it's like, oh, look, I don't have any results 3 months later, but I can't go get mad at you because you're not letting me pay you. And so you end up with this huge sacrifice. So I just really wanted to point that out in case anyone missed it, because she dropped it so casually, and that to me is so important. And I see so many people mess that one.
Definitely. I agree with you. Definitely is. And I'm not going to lie. I've had trades of services, from someone working on my car to, a body fix on my car to, oh my gosh, you name it, jujitsu private lessons, like, you name it. And I've had a trade of some sort, and it's wonderful, but you also have to remember your value and your worth. There comes a point where too many trades can actually be detrimental to your business, because then you're sitting at the end of the month with not quite as much income as you should have had. Not as much, like there can be some months where you don't pay yourself. You don't get paid. The company's taken care of, bills are paid, but you have no money to play with. And usually when that happens, it's like, all right, Anna, how generous have you been? How many, you know what, let me make you a deal. How many times have you said that this month? And you got to be careful for that as well. I've realized I've, kind of cut myself short on a lot of things. And that's why I say, make sure you have a good, someone that can really mentor you on business. And, aside from mom, I honestly sat down with, Dr. Bob Young, Dr. Genevieve has also given me, they're both plastic surgeons here in San Antonio. They both given me some advice, whether they knew they were giving me advice or not, in our conversations is the question, but I took in everything that they said. Dr. Genevieve had given me a strong lesson on marketing and advertisement a few years back. And I was just trying to set up a referral process, but he already had one with Kay, my mentor. And so I was just trying to say, hey, if you have any extra, send them my way if she's busy. And he actually answered a lot of questions as far as marketing to me. I learned a lot on that.
Nice.
And I mean, Dr. Genevieve, you can drive down I-10 and 410 and you'll see billboards of his business, And then Dr. Bob Young just keeps really good personal connections with a lot of people. And that's another thing I really took advantage of. And I know quite a few. I'm very young, but I know quite a few older people who have had much success in, buying and selling of businesses, properties. I mean, very successful people. And I surround myself with them because in those arenas, even if it's like a Dancing with the Stars with Michelle Young kind of event, I mean, you're surrounded by people who have made such success in their life at whatever their trade is, and learning and listening when they talk and just observing them sometimes, it really teaches a lot if you just make yourself a sponge and you take every word of advice, not as criticism in a negative way, but positive things, and really open yourself to learning a lot. It really helps. It really does.
Wow. Well, you've dropped so many golden nuggets here. I think this was worth the whole, scrambling, trying to figure out how to make this thing happen. So I'm very glad you did. But one last, so what is your best, I know you gave really good advice, like I said already, but your best piece of advice for other business owners out there?
Oh, man. Okay. So my jiu-jitsu friends will really appreciate this one, but believing in yourself. So in jiu-jitsu, we always say, believe in your technique, believe in what you practice and drilled and what you know. In your jiu-jitsu game. So same thing applies to life, believe in yourself, believe in your value, your worth, your knowledge, your hours of research or studying or, fighting your way. If you end up at the gas station one day and you're like, man, I have no cash, to, okay, well, push past that day, take it as a lesson learned, pay attention to how much you're spending, pay attention to how much you're selling yourself for, your value and your worth, and just believe in yourself even when it gets so hard that you're like, man, I don't know if I can make it next month. Just keep pushing, believing, making connections, and it's really starts with you believing in yourself. Everyone in the world can tell you, hey, you can do this, you can be an entrepreneur, you can own your own business, but unless you believe it, it's not really going to pan out. So make sure you believe it, go in there full guns blazing, and you'll do really well.
That's awesome. I'm waiting. I've had a couple of people who have said, my best advice is really, persevere. But no one's ever gone to the whole, hey, persevere, but do it through belief. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'm leaving the biggest person out, God. I'm a Christian woman, and I got to say, there's been lots of times I've just dropped to my knees and told him, Lord, I'm going to leave this in your hand. If this is where you want me to be, and this is how you want me to help people, and this is what you want me to do, I'll leave it in your hands. So beside believing in yourself, don't worry. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a Christian, God's got your back, and if he's not, he's still got your back and he loves you. So
there's another interview you should totally check out, the one I did with Daryl Lyons.
I will, for sure.
I will send you the link, because it's just, and for our listeners, if you haven't checked out Daryl's interview, go watch that one next, because what she just said just makes a perfect segue. So go.
Awesome.
Meantime, Anna, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
For my listeners out there, look at this. This is what the Business Owner Spotlight's about. If you know an Anna that I don't, please do me a favor, go below, grab my contact information, send me their info, connect me to them. I want the chance to put the spotlight on them, because guess what? We are done trying to hit the target. It's time to smash it. It's time to obliterate it. The best way to do that, get yourself educated. I'm going to bring the education to you, but if you know someone that can help, point them my direction. In the meantime, go out there and make it an amazing week. You have the potential, but it's up to you.